You know when someone starts to ask you a question they've asked you 100 million times before, and then they pause halfway through it like something doesn't quite fit anymore? I had that happen to me recently. I was back in Northern Ireland visiting my parents, and I'd popped into town quickly between the rain showers, just doing my usual thing, moving too fast, already on to the next thing before I'd finished the one I was in. As I was walking down the street, I sensed someone looking at me, so I looked over. It took me a second to place her, and then it clicked. An old school friend I hadn't seen in years, possibly decades. We stopped, had that quick, "How are you doing?" exchange, and then she started to ask me something. "How's the..." she said before stopping abruptly. You could see it on her face. She'd realised halfway through the sentence that something wasn't right. I knew exactly what she was about to ask. "How's the bunnies?" That used to be the most natural question in the world. If you knew me even just a little bit, you knew about my bunnies. They weren't just something in the background. They were central to my life. I spoke about them all the time. They shaped my days, my routines, my choices. I was Viv, the bunny mummy. It wasn't something I thought about. It just was. And then they were gone. It's been about a year since Bobo passed, my final bunny. And with that whole part of my life ended. There wasn't a moment when Viv the bunny mummy was clearly gone. It just wasn't there anymore. Standing there with her, my friend, in that pause, it felt strange. For her, it was just a moment of not knowing how to finish the sentence. For me, it was something much bigger. Because it's not just the loss itself, it's what that loss takes with it. A part of you, a part of who you were, a version of you that existed because of it. And when that's gone, there's this space, this gap that's left behind. You feel it in small ways, in conversations that shift, in things people don't ask anymore, in how you describe yourself or don't. Other people only brush up against that briefly. They notice something's different, adjust slightly, move on. For you, though, it stays. This isn't only about something such as losing a pet. It can happen in so many other ways. Leaving a place that used to feel like home. Stepping out of a role that defined your day to day. Changes in relationships. Or even just reaching a point where something that used to feel like you doesn't anymore. It doesn't always come with a clear ending. Sometimes it just fades and you're left noticing that something has shifted, even if you can't pinpoint exactly when. Sometimes it's not that you don't know who you are. It's that a version of you has gone and nothing has replaced it yet. And that space can feel unfamiliar. There's no clear label, no easy way to explain it. Just this sense that something that used to anchor you isn't there in the same way. It's not something that needs to be rushed or filled straight away. It does, though, often need space and sometimes support. There are moments where having someone sit with you in that, without trying to define it or fix it, makes a difference. That's something I hold inside my support and healing sessions. There are quieter ways of being with it as well. The return to self-worth soul-layered meditation that I offer, for example, is one of those spaces where you don't need to have answers. You just need to meet yourself where you are. These shifts don't always show up obviously. Sometimes they show up in a pause in a conversation. Once you notice it, however, you start to see where else something has changed. You might already have moments like that in your life, where something that used to define you just isn't there anymore. Maybe next time you notice it, don't try to rush past it. Just stay with it for a moment and see what's actually there now.